just tell us a little bit about your background, your family, and what led you to a career in education?
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's kind of an interesting story, but so I was a graduate student at the University of Arkansas, and I've been doing archaeology and anthropology for, I don't know, 8 years or so, and even as an undergraduate. And a friend of mine that I had met said, hey, would you come up to Northwest Arkansas Community College and teach an anthropology class? And I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to do that. I'm teaching now, I got a lot going on. And they were like, pays $1,200. I was like, I'm in. Like that was it. I was like, I'm there. And so I went up there, I started teaching the class. It was a night class. And interestingly enough, the students, I was also teaching at the university at that time, the students were just different, you know, not necessarily better, not necessarily worse, they were just different. They had families, they had jobs, and they were really working to try to advance their careers. And I just kind of fell in love with that. I fell in love with the students, and I fell in love with the mission of the community college. In a way, I feel like I've had two careers, the one where I was an anthropologist, an archaeologist, and then the one where I was in the community colleges teaching and then later becoming an administrator. But honestly, the two are very similar in that cultural anthropologists study cultures, and my culture is the community college and the students that go there. So that's kind of how those two things have kind of bridged in my world and led me to where I'm at today. In regard to my family, you know, I'm very fortunate my wife and I met. We met at a conference. She worked for Lincoln Land Community College at the time. She was in their corporate and continuing education division. And at that time I was doing a lot of continuing ed and training for Northwest Arkansas Community College and then later the Kentucky Community Technical College system. So we kind of met through the community college and have worked in community colleges ever since then. And we have two wonderful boys. Jack is 16 years old and Blake is 10. And so we're very fortunate in that. And we like to do things that are outdoors and fun. We play tennis together, play golf together, and try to get out and hike and bike as much as we can too.
Love that. And could you tell us what is one word your friends would use to describe you, and would your coworkers agree? Yeah,
my friends and my coworkers would probably use the word driven to describe me. I don't necessarily see that or think that. I just kind of do what I do because I'm passionate about it and enjoy it. But they would definitely say that I'm focused and driven on and primarily student success.
And what does make you so passionate about student success? I know you talked a little bit about your time in the classroom.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think, you know, as a classroom teacher, you're always looking for that moment, that aha moment, or when that student has the light bulb that comes on, right? And we know that it's a culmination of multiple events like that knowledge is spread. And the really thing that fascinates me is how the students then use that to better themselves, right? And if we look at the community college and the mission of what we do, I try to tell people we're looking at statistics and graduation rates and you know, all these different data points that we look at. And I'm a total data nerd. I love that stuff. But at the end of the day, we have to remember is that represents students' hopes and dreams. Mm-hmm. They come to us with one thing in common, and that's to get better. Sometimes they don't even know what they want to be better at, but they want a better way of life. And so I think, you know, for me, working with the students, both when I was in the classroom and then as an administrator, and then working with other faculties to help them hone their craft of teaching and improve that, has just been a calling of mine in many ways.
You've done Pizza with the President. What will be your signature event, do you think, as Chancellor at EICC? Yeah,
that's a great one. And we were just talking about it a few minutes ago upstairs. And when I was at one of the campuses, somebody asked me that question. And I was like, oh no, I hadn't really thought about it. And I was like, Cheetos with the Chancellor. And I was like, no, that doesn't sound very good.
Yeah.
You know, that's not real healthy. And so I thought of a better healthy option, and cheesecake with the Chancellor came up. And I think it's going to stick. First of all, who doesn't love cheesecake, right? And it's got a nice ring to it. And I'm not sure how it's going to impact my waistline, but we're going to give it a shot.
Do you have a favorite kind of cheesecake?
Yeah, probably there's a red velvet cheesecake, and it's from Iowa. It's at the Brown Bottle in Cedar Falls, Iowa.
Okay.
It's one of the best. So I'm hoping maybe I can find a place around here in Davenport or, nearby that may have something similar. If not, I guess I'll have to go back to Waterloo.
Well, we have a culinary program. I bet they could make you.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to go up there and get a cheesecake, bring it back, and we can deconstruct it, and they could figure out the secret recipe.
Absolutely. So, I asked you about cheesecake, but follow-up question, in all seriousness. New York style, Chicago deep dish, or Quad City style? I don't know if you had the latter yet, but what's your favorite kind of pizza?
Yes. Really, there's no such thing as bad pizza. I can't, I'm from Texas, and being in Texas, barbecue, right? Mm-hmm. And it's all barbecue, and it all has its subtle differences, and it's all great. And you like some better than others, and I think pizza is the exact same kind of food. It probably is one of my favorite foods, if not the most, but it's up there at the top of my list for sure. And really, I do love it all. I was just in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, had some great deep dish. That's fine. But, I'm looking forward to getting out and seeing what the variety of the Quad Cities looks like here too, and trying some different places.
Wonderful.